coronavirus has spread to South Korea and more countries as well. The Seoul Dynasty homestands will be canceled.
Before we get into the topic of coronavirus and how it has affected the Overwatch League, I had said in my last video that almost 90% of my watch time are from people who aren't subscribed to the channel, but now that number has actually risen a little bit, almost reaching that 96 boundary. So if we could get this number to be somewhat near the high 80s, that would be pretty damn cool. This is also going to be a slightly shorter video in order to increase audience retention and watch time, since my last video on Sado did really badly in terms of watch time, whereas my Clockwork Vendetta video did pretty well in watch time, and that's mainly because it was shorter, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm almost certain that everyone has heard of the coronavirus infection, also known as COVID-19, becoming a global health concern as of early March and late February. Right now on the screen is a small infographic of how many countries have been affected and how badly. I believe this was made by John Hopkins, and I will link the graph in the description since it updates live. So whatever time you're watching this, whether it's in a month's time, it'll probably be up to date, and you'll know how bad the coronavirus has become in other countries. So as you can clearly see, mainland China has been the hardest hit with the coronavirus, with over 80,000 people being affected, and you'll see the effects of that later on in the video. Now obviously the higher authority in the Overwatch League have taken advances and methods to prevent fans, players, coaches and many more to catching the coronavirus. Just a few weeks ago, the Shanghai homestand for the Overwatch League is now currently closed down, or was currently closed down, as well as other Asian countries having practically no homestand for the time being. Right here is a screenshot of the Shanghai Dragons' Twitter discussing the effect of COVID-19 on the team's homestands and their team's conditions. The Chengdu Hunters have also taken similar measures to that of the Shanghai Dragons. I think they have made a tweet longer explaining how their homestand has been closed to prevent any more spread of the coronavirus. I had also assumed other Asian teams in the Overwatch League, such as the Guangzhou Charge, have done similar acts on Twitter in order to inform their fans. I personally don't see the Asian stands coming back anytime soon. There's currently no vaccine for the coronavirus, but I assume this will be similar to the SARS coronavirus in the early 2000s, where in most of these pandemics, they have always found a vaccine, and the coronavirus is basically a family of viruses, so I'd assume they take similar methods and a similar amount of time to fix this and to cure this, but hopefully we can see these Chinese homestands back. For obvious reasons, I don't want to come across as like I'm saying that I want the coronavirus only fixed just for the Overwatch League. Clearly, this has affected way more than just esports in itself. This has affected businesses, this has affected people, this has especially affected those of elderly people as well, with the death rate being 14%, I believe, for those who are 80 plus. So clearly, this isn't just mutually exclusive, or the effects aren't mutually exclusive just to the Overwatch League. The coronavirus has affected more people than it should have ever have done, so I'm hoping that this virus blows over just as all the other ones in the past have done so. To gain further insight on the damage and the impact of the coronavirus in the Overwatch League, an article published by PBS NewsHour stated that the Overwatch League is relocating scheduled esports matches from 3 cities in China to Seoul due to the outbreak of a virus which has killed nearly 1,400 people. Now it's at 3,000, I believe, so this is just doubled, and this article was in February the 14th. The OWL postponed matches scheduled in Shanghai, Guangzhou and Hangzhou for February and March 2 weeks ago due to the virus known as COVID-19. It announced Friday that those matches will be played at a studio in Seoul mid-March. The league said in a statement it made the choice in order to protect the health and safety of our fans, players and staff. This is the first year for OWL's unprecedented global schedule, including host matches for its 20 city-based franchises in Asia, North America and Europe. The league has 4 Chinese teams and had expected fan turnout to be strong in China, which has a passionate Overwatch player and fan base. Now this may seem quite dramatic, especially when it's only posted since the February the 14th, and now it's around March the 6th when this video is being recorded at, but I want to keep in mind that the media aren't necessarily covering how many people have recovered from the coronavirus as of March 6th. 58,000 people have recovered from the coronavirus, 43,000 which have been from mainland China. Despite the sheer amounts of people who have recovered from the coronavirus, many are still saying that the coronavirus or COVID-19 is still the most infectious and most worrying disease that humanity has ever seen. And this is mainly because it combines the two most important and two most crucial factors to why the coronavirus is seeing so much press. And that is mainly because of the lethality and the contagiousness and how it can spread very easily. So as you can see with Ebola, it's not a very easily contagious disease, but it is very lethal. Whereas stuff like the cold are very contagious, but they're not lethal whatsoever unless you have a weakened immune system. The coronavirus essentially combines these two into, you know, a very deadly disease, which is why we're seeing so many deaths and why we're seeing it spread like wildfire. So now I'm going to go over the step-by-step scenarios of containing coronavirus that the government are taking. I'm not sure if this is worldwide or just solidified to the UK, but I'm still going to go over it anyway, as it's a brief and decent guideline of how the coronavirus is spreading. So the first scenario is scenario 0, where there are no reported cases in the exact country, but it is quite local to that country and nearby, and the goal is to contain the disease from actually reaching mainland into the country, and whereas this may be taking certain procedures to do so. The next scenario that most countries are in is scenario 1, where the virus has spread within the main country, but there are only a few cases, and the main goal is to contain this from reaching other parts of the country. The next scenario is the one that I'm in right now in the UK, where it is scenario 2 and there are hundreds of cases of coronavirus or this disease in the country, and the goal is to delay this from ever snowballing more than 1,000, or to delay the spread of this, because it's frankly inevitable that the coronavirus is going to spread when it's past 100. Moving on to scenario 3, you can start to see on how dangerous the virus is starting to become, where there are localized outbreaks starting to emerge, becoming indistinct, and there is much more human-to-human transmission and pressure on health systems. And this is probably what the UK is going to head in the next week or so. Hopefully this doesn't snowball into scenario 4, as you'll see. Lastly, scenario 4, where there are 3 countries are in this stage right now, which are Italy, Iran, and China, where there is widespread country, national transmission. So that's it for the video. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Just before I leave, here's a quick guide on how to decrease your chances of receiving the coronavirus, as I think everybody knows by now. Just wash your hands, forehead. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.